Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Guru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurave Sarvalokanam Vishaje Bhavaroginam Nithaye Sarvavidyanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Shruti-smriti-purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad-padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Sakshat Kritam Dayanandam Paramarthasvarupinam Tattvajnana-prashastaram Pranatosmi Param Padam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. 66th class. Can repeat. Vasudevendra Yogindram Nattva Jnanapradam Gurum.
Vasudevendra
Yogindram
Yogindram
Natva
Natva Jnanapradam Gurum
Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattvabodho Vidhiyate.
Mumukshunam
Hitarthaya
Hitarthaya
Tattvabodho
Tattvabodho Abhidhiyate.
We have been discussing so far Shariratrayam, Avastatrayam, and all these topics we have been discussing to understand, to clearly understand what Atma is from what Atma is not. This prakriya by which we understand what Atma is, separating from what Atma is not. That prakriya is called the neti prakriya. Not this, not this. Negating what Atma is not. Because there are possibilities to mistake the Shariram to be Atma, the Sharira, Manas, Indriya, Sangata to be Atma. And Shariram could be at the three levels, three states. So therefore it has to be negated. Because mistakes are possible at all these levels, therefore it has to be negated. So that is why the very definition itself, Sharira Trayat Vitriptaha Avastatraya Sakshi iti. So by this Neti process, Neti, we will understand what Atma by removing all the possible mistakes. The mistakes, the error, they are committed in terms of our understanding, in terms of understanding our Swarupa, our essential nature. Taking the Purna Atma to be Apurna Anatma. That's a mistake. That mistake is committed at different levels of different levels of Shariram. At the same thing, the Shariram is looked upon as Kosha at different levels of Kosha. Therefore, we have to remove the wrong understanding to know what Atma is. So therefore, we have to discuss on those topics also. The purpose of discussing Shariratrayam, Avastatraya, Sakshi, even Panchakoshava, all this for removing the possible confusions regarding Atma. So while discussing this Shariratrayam and Avastatraya, those are the Prakriya. In some Upanishads, Shariratraya Prakriya is handled by which the Atma is arrived at. In some Upanishads, Avastatraya Prakriya. So by that, Atma is Shariratrayat Vitriptaha Avastatraya Sakshi iti by Anvaya Vitireka. By Anvaya Vitireka method, we understand Atma. We know what is Anvaya Vitireka. Yat Sattve, Yat Sattva, Yat Abhave, Yat Abhavaha. That is, Atma is, therefore Shariram is. Atma is not, Shariram is not. Therefore, Atma is the Karanam. Like the clay is, therefore the pot is. The clay is not, therefore pot is not. Therefore, clay is the Karanam. Clay is, pot is, that is Anvaya. Clay is not, pot is not, that is Vitireka. This method is called Anvaya Vitireka. We discussed about this Anvaya Vitireka. By Anvaya Vitireka method, this Atma is distinct from Shariratrayam and Avastatraya Sakshi iti we established. We discussed and established. And we know Atma is Nityaha. It is ever changeless. All the changes, whatever we see in the body, the Jagat, whether we perceive the Jagat through the five senses, or we recognize the changes in our own Shariram, any change, all these changes, all this changing thing must have a changeless adharam. Changeless adharam. That changeless adharam, that is what is Atma is. Atma is the adharam for the recognition of this changing Jagat. The Jagat includes our Shariram also. So therefore, Shariram is subject to change, Jagat is subject to change. That which is not changeless, in the presence of which only all these changes are observed or perceived. Therefore, that which are subject to changes, they are anitya, they are anatma. That which is not subject to change, that is nitya, that is atma. Therefore, this anitya Anatma Prapancha, it has Atma as its Adharam. It has Atma as its Adharam. This Adhara Atma is mistaken to be the Anatma, Anitya Anatma iti. So, therefore, by giving the reality, the astitva to Anatma, we miss Atma. We miss Atma. In fact, the Atma being the subject, Atma being the subject, this Atma can be recognized only when there is a perception of change in the Anatma. When something changes, the change of a thing can be known. The change of a thing can be known only when there is a changeless thing. And the changeless thing also can be observed with reference to the changing thing. So understand this very clearly. If there is no change in Sushupti, can you recognize Atma? Can you understand Atma? No, because there is no Vikalpa, there is no change. There is no Drik Drishya Veda, no subject object difference. There is no subject object difference, no Vikalpa, objects are not there in the Sushupti Avastha. And in the Jagrata Avastha, the objects are subject to change, which we observe. The nature of the objects is this change, the continuous change, whereas a subject doesn't change. If the subject also changes, then the change cannot be perceived by the same subject because it is not the same subject. If the subject changes, the subject doesn't change. It remains always the same. What is seen only changes. The seer doesn't change. Drishyam changes, Drik never change. Because a Drik never changes, therefore only the Drishyam is perceived. Drishyam means what is seen, the objects. In Sushupti, only subject is there. Because only the subject is there, how can the subject be recognized? How can the subject be understood when there are no changing objects? Therefore, even to recognize Atma, Anatma should be there. Through all the experiences of this object, the object world, we must have recognized Atma that I am not changing, everything is changing. Everything is changing, but I am not changing. I continue to be the same person from my birth. The things around me have changed, but I has not changed. Atma has not changed. With reference to that non-changing, unchanging Atma only, all the changes are observed. Therefore, Atma is Nityam. Therefore, we must have recognized that unchanging myself, the unchanging Atma, but we have not recognized that. In fact, we misunderstood that. That is a mistake. That is the mistake. That is the original mistake. In fact, that is called original sin. Original sin by the other religions. What is a sin? There is no sin. It means it's a mistake. This is a original mistake. That is the Mula Karanam. Therefore, there is a requirement, an absolute necessity to discuss Shariratrayam, Avastatrayam, Panchakosha, all these things. All these things are upadhis. They are anatma, upadhi, anatma, upadhi. What is a upadhi? Upadhi is that which seems to bring a change in something, not a real change. Upadhi is that which brings a seeming change in something. Upasamipe sthitva Sriyan Gunan Anyatra Adadhati. That is called Upadhi. Upadhi, what it does is it transfers a property to something because of its close proximity, the close presence. That is called Upadhi. If you take a crystal, a clean, clear crystal, it is colorless crystal. The colorless crystal will appear to be red if you place a red hibiscus flower near the crystal. The crystal is colorless. The crystal is colorless and the color of the flower is red, the hibiscus. Now, when you place the hibiscus flower near the crystal appears red. Now this red color, how this red color of the flower is transferred to the crystal and therefore the crystal appears red. People seeing the crystal, they may mistake it to be a red in color, but its nature is colorless. Now the red color, does it really belong to the crystal? It doesn't belong to it. It belongs to the red flower. If you remove the red flower, the crystal will appear again to be colorless. So that which makes a crystal looks red, that is the upadhi. It is called upadhi. So red flower is the upadhi. Red flower is the upadhi, and the crystal is red in color. When you say, that is a mistake. The crystal is colorless because it appears red. We cannot conclude that it is red in color. If you think that is red in color, and if you try to scratch the crystal to see the pieces to be red, that's a mistake based action. Crystal looks red when you bring a red color flower. If you bring a white color flower, it will appear white. It will appear white. If you bring any other color, the same color will be reflected in the crystal. Crystal is colorless crystal, just reflect the color of the object which is placed closer to it. So once you know that the color of the crystal is colorless, the color of the crystal is because of the upadhi, the object which are placed. Even though you perceive a color, some color in the crystal when you see, but still you will understand that crystal is colorless. That is the understanding. That is the cognitive understanding. That is real. That is purely understanding. By pure understanding, you recognize the color of the crystal to be colorless. The colorlessness is the swarupam, the nature of the crystal. That is a cognitive understanding. Similarly, here also, Atma is free from Shariratrayam. Atma is free from Avasthatrayam. Atma is free from Panchakosha. They are the Upadhi. They are just like the red flower placed closer to the crystal. As the crystal reflects the red color of the flower, so too the Atma appears to have Shariratrayam. Atma appears to have Panchakosha. Atma appears to have Avastatrayam. But all these cannot even touch Atma. The Shariratrayam or Panchakosha, Avastatrayam, really, they cannot even touch Atma. Like the color of the flower cannot touch the colorlessness of the crystal. So, this example, by this example, we can understand what Upadhi is. But it is this example has got some limitation also. We cannot literally understand anything with the example, and that to Atma Vishaya it's not possible. This example, this Drishtanta is only to make us understand the mistake committed with regard to Atma, and also to understand what Upadhi is. The nature of the Upadhi is superimposed on that which doesn't have the nature of the Upadhi. Upadhi nature is different. The Upadhi, the nature of the red flower is different. The nature of the crystal is different. The nature of the Upadhi flower is transferred to the crystal. That is called Swarupan Anyatra Adadate. Crystal is a thing. Flower is also another thing. Both are different things. Crystal is an object. Flower is a different object. Crystal is not a flower. Flower is also not a crystal. Both are different. When both are different, they themselves transfer the flower, which is different, completely different from crystal, transfers its properties to the crystal. But in the case of Atma, Atma, Anatma, they are not two different. They are not two different things. What is Anatma is really Atma only. Anatma is Atma, but Atma is not Anatma. That we need to remember always. So Anatma is because of Atma. Minus Atma, Anatma doesn't exist. But that is not the case in the case of this example. Flower and crystal, they are totally different. So that is the limitation of the Drishtanta, the example. So the example has got limitation. We need to understand the limitation of the example. The example is only to understand what Upadhi is. So similarly here, this Atma, Anatma, unlike the flower and crystal, they are not two different things. Atma is because of, Anatma is because of Atma. So this Anatma, which is the Upadhi, for Atma. And Anatmanaha Upadhi, Anatmanaha, the attributes of Anatma transferred to Atma, and the attributes of Atma is transferred to Anatma. Therefore, there is Paraspara transfer of attributes. Therefore, the mistake is. So the example of this flower crystal Upadhi is only to understand what Upadhi is, how the transfer of the attributes of Upadhi to another thing is possible. Okay. This is only to point out the mistake that Atma is considered to be having the properties of Anatma. Atma seemingly borrows the properties of Anatma Upadhi. Atma cannot really borrow. The properties of Anatma Upadhi. What are the properties of Anatma, if you ask? Anatma is put together, it is bhautikam, it is made of elements and elementals. Anatma is not put together. Atma is not put together. Anatma is put together. Anatma is an assembly. Atma is not an assembly. Anatma is a samhata. It is an assembly. The shariram is an assembly. It is put together, made of various parts. It is put together. Atma is not put together. Therefore, when something is put together, what will be its swarupa? It will be anitya because it has parts. Just parts, angas are there. Therefore, it will be vyaya. It will perish. It will decay. It will disappear. Therefore, anityaha. Atma is not put together. It is not an assembly. It is chit ghana swarupaha. It is pure consciousness. Therefore, it is one pure consciousness. There is no second. Therefore, it is Nityaha, it is Kutastaha, Kutasta Chaitanyam. On this Kutasta Chaitanyam, this Anatma Upadhi, Anatma Upadhi, the attributes of Anatma Upadhi are transferred, and therefore the mistake is seemingly transferred, not real transfer. If real transfer happens, then you have to remove it. There is no real transfer possible. Real transfer of attributes from Anatma to Atma is not possible. If that is real transfer, then you have to work. Then you have to work to remove those attributes which are taken by Atma. Then karma works in. Then karma required. By karma, you cannot gain knowledge, and therefore moksha. Karma only to gain. By karma, what you can gain only a limited thing. Karma being limited. Therefore, what a limited karma can give you is only a limited palam, the limited result. Atma Jnanam, moksha is not a limited result. If it is limited, then it will be for some time and then it will go away. Then it is not a moksha. Then it cannot be called moksha. So, therefore, karma has got no role in gaining moksha. Moksha is only through the jnana. Therefore, if Atma really has the attributes of Anatma, then karma is required. But Atma really doesn't have it. Seemingly seem to have the attributes of Anatma. Therefore, cognitive understanding is required. We need to understand, in spite of the seeming change in the Atma, that Atma is changeless. It is Nityaha. Swarupam is Nityaha. It is Kutastaha. That is only understanding. Therefore, jnana. The jnanam of Atma, that is the jnanam of myself, that only removes all the possible mistakes which we commit. That only removes from the possible mistakes and therefore from samsara, that is called moksha. So, all this elaborate discussion on Shariratrayam, Avastatrayam, etc., it's only to make us clearly understand what Atma is. Atma cannot really borrow, cannot really take up the properties of Anatma. The whole life we do commit this mistake. The whole life is centered, since it is centered around this Anatma Upadhi, therefore we miss Atma. Therefore only we are in samsara. If it is centered around Atma, then this Anatma Upadhi will not touch us, and therefore there will not be the experiences which can, there will not be experiences which can cause pain, which can really cause pain. The pain is also of the upadhi. Sukham is also of the upadhi. Pleasure and pain, sukha dukkha, labha alabha, jaya jaya. That is what Bhagavan Krishna says in the Gita. Sukha dukkhe same krutva, labha alabho jaya jaya. So all these things become the anubhava of Anatma Upadhi. Atma cannot have any particular experience. It is myself. I being the witness, I perceive, I bring to cognition, I bring to recognition all these experiences. The experiences are of the Anatma Upadhi, not of the Atma. Atma is not the experiencer. Atma is the illuminator of all the experiences. Atma is the illuminator of all the experience. Being the witness, being the illuminator of the experiences, all the experiences belong to Anatma Upadhi, which is not myself. That is not my Swarupa. So the change of Anatma Upadhi will not cause the change or the any anubhava or any the change or any experience of the anatma upadhi will not really make a change in myself because I am changeless. When this understanding is there, then, then there is no samsara. There is no samsara, and therefore one is free. This is understanding. This is called cognitive understanding of what Atma is. So we have discussed this topic elaborately. Then now, after discussing this topic, now the author takes up the topic of Panchakosha. That also we saw what Panchakosha is. Panchakosha is another prakriya, another method. The same Sharira Trayam, the three bodies, they are presented through Panchakosha. And through that Panchakosha discussion, the types of mistakes, the possible types of mistakes corresponding to the five levels of experience, they are discussed, so that we can correct the mistake. Since the mistake is committed at five levels, therefore these five levels are going to be discussed. That is Panchakosha. Panchakosha is the next topic, about which we saw very briefly. Now it is going to be discussed elaborately. So next topic is Panchakosha Prakriya, Panchakosha Viveka. So Panchakosha Titaha San, the definition of Atma, we have seen. You have to remember that. Now, the word Panchakosha occurs, and therefore Shishya, the disciple, he has a doubt. What is this Panchakosha? Kosha means the layer or the level of experience, and the experience at five levels. At five levels, the Atma is mistaken to be Anatma. Anatma is taken to be Atma, the possible mistake. So that is, therefore, we need to discuss on this Panchakosha. That is the topic we will read. Panchakoshaha ke
Panchakoshaha ke
Annamayaha Pranamayo Manomayo Vijnanamayah.
Annamaya
Pranamayo,
Manomayo
Manomaya,
Vijnanamaya
Anandamaya,
Anandamaya Chiti
Anandamayaha Cheti.
Anandamaya
Chiti
Panchakoshaha ke. What are these Pancha Kosha? What are these five koshas? So now the Guru enumerates the answer to the question Panchakoshaha ke. What are the five koshas? Panchakosha is Pullinga, therefore ke. Kakakau ke. Panchakoshaha, Panchakosho, Panchakoshaha. Bhagavachanam, Panchakoshaha ke. Annamayaha, that is one. Pranamayaha, number two. Manomayaha, Vijnanamayaha, Anandamayaha. Cha iti. Cha is and. Vijnanamayaha and Anandamaya. All these are the kosha. Each kosha will be taken for elaborate discussion. Annamaya is the word, in all these words you can note the maya, the word, the maya occurs. The maya is a pratyaya. It is a suffix. It's a mayat pratyaya. In Sanskrita Vyakaranam, we have a lot of pratyayas, suffixes like supratyaya, ting pratyaya, So similarly here, this mayat is a pratyaya. Anna plus mayat becomes annamaya. Prana plus mayat pratyaya becomes pranamaya. The pratyaya as a meaning. Pratyaya as a meaning. In what? In what meaning the word, the pratyaya is added to the words to derive the word, to derive the another word. Annamaya is a word, Annamaya is a word, Mayat is a pratyaya. The pratyaya is added to the word Anna to derive another word which is Annamaya. So the Mayat pratyaya has meaning. That meaning is there in the word Annamaya. The meaning of the pratyaya is there in the formed word Annamaya. What is that meaning? Word Mayat is added in the sense of prachuryarthe, that is one, prachuryarthe or vikararthe, in two possible meanings. Vikararthe, prachuryarthe. Prachuryarthe, prachurya means abundant, something which is abundant. In that sense, Mayat pratyaya can be added. Like when you say Jalamaya, when you go to the Ganga Sagar is a place where Ganga merges with the ocean. There, in the one bank of the river, other bank you cannot see. It is so vast. Other bank you cannot see at all. It looks like a ocean, so spread. So what you will say, it is only Jalamaya. Everywhere only is Jalam. There is no land. There is no bank seen. So that is Jalamaya. Because Jalam is Prachurya, abundant, in plenty. That is Jalamaya. And another meaning for the Mayat Pratyaya is Vikararthe. Vikara means change. Vikara means the change. Annamaya, when you say, Annam means food. Annam means food. Mayat means the change. Therefore, the change of food. The change of Annam. Annam is food. That is what is taken in. That is called Annam. Anything which is taken in through the mouth is called Annam. So, that Annam, it has changed, it has modified into this body. So therefore, this body is nothing but the change of Annam, the change of food. Food only becomes a body. That is obvious. Food only becomes a body. Minus food, what happens to the body? The body becomes emaciated. Therefore, it is very clear. When you take food and the food is properly digested and its nutrients are distributed throughout the body is healthy, the body is fine, it is healthy. Change of the food, the change of the food becomes the body. So therefore, this body is nothing but the modification of food. This body is nothing but the modification of all the idli, dosa, sambar. This is what this body is. The body is made of food only. That is vikararthe mayat. Similarly, pranamaya. Pranamaya is also a modification. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha iti. So Annamaya is a kosha. It's a kosha means it's a cover, and the cover is made of Annam. Pranamaya kosha is another cover that is made of prana. Manomaya kosha is another cover, another layer, cover or layer. Manomaya kosha is there only. Manas is there, mind is there. Manas means mind. Mind means what? The mind is nothing but that which is made of the thoughts, all the possible emotions, feelings, doubts, anxieties, worries, concern, all this, everything is manomaya. So the modification of all this is what constitutes the kosha, which is manas, manomaya kosha. Similarly, vijnanamaya kosha. Vijnanamaya kosha is also, it is also a layer of experience, which is also because of the change of the vijnana. Vijnana means thoughts, vritti. The vritti, the thoughts. The thought is jnana vritti. To know a thing to know an object, a change in the vritti is required. Without a change in vritti, you cannot know an object. You see a flower, now flower is removed, in the place of flower, a pot has come. Change of object should create a change of vritti. When you see a pot vritti, that is jnanam happens in the buddhi. When you see a tree, now the pot has gone, the new object tree has come. Therefore, vriksha vritti happens, the thought of vriksha in the buddhi. So that jnana vritti, that also looked upon as a layer of experience. Therefore, Vijnanamaya Kosha. And finally, Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha is Ananda. So these are the 5 koshas. These are the 5 koshas. As a Manushya, we have 3 Shariram. Stula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, Karana Shariram. At, at, this, at these 3 levels of Shariram, we have seen that that mistakes are committed. Now, the same thing, the same 3 Shariram, now it is looked upon as 5 layers of experience. The layers is called Kosha. At each Kosha, at each layer, mistakes are committed. The mistake due to what? Ajnanam. Ajnanam is only one. Ajnanam is only one. What is Ajnanam? Taking Atma, considering Atma to be Anatma, Anatma to be Atma, that property transferred, that no property, not real property, it is the notional property transfer. Properties of each one, Atma, Anatma, doesn't really transfer to each other. It is because of our wrong perception, wrong cognition. That is Ajnana. Ajnana is only one. So with Ajnana being that, with reference to 3 levels of experience at the Shariram level, with reference to the 3 levels of Shariram, 3 levels of experience at the body level, this is this Ajnanam is experienced in a threefold way. The same Ajnanam experienced in a threefold way because 3 Sharirams are there. Similarly, when the 3 Sharirams are looked upon as 5 layers of experience, the same Ajnanam, now it is experienced in a 5-fold way. As the same Ajnanam experienced in a 3-fold way with reference to 3 Sharirams, 3 Sharirams are 3 avasthas. Similarly, the same Ajnanam now, that is same Ajnanam is the same, the mistake, what we commit. That is mistake, what we committed because of our experience. Now it is looked upon in a 5-fold way with reference to the 5 layers of experience. Like, for example, I am tall. When you say, I am tall, I am short, I am fat, I am lean, I am an old man, I am a young man, I am black in color, my complexion is black, I am white, I am brown. All these are the attributes of the body. All these are the tallness, the shortness, the fatness, the leanness, the youth. All these are attributes of the body. But what happens when you say, I am tall? The tallness of the body, that is Upadhi, Anatma Upadhi, they are transferred to the Atma, I. I is without any attributes. The attributes of the body are taken to be the attributes of Atma. Therefore, you say, I am tall. This is a mistake. Mistake committed at one layer, at the layer of the Shariram. The layer of Shariram, this is a mistake committed. Similarly, when you say, I am weak, I am strong, I am hungry, I am tired, I am thirsty. Who is thirsty? Atma is thirsty. Atma doesn't take water. Atma doesn't take food. So, but we say, I am strong, I am hungry. Who is hungry? Body is hungry. Therefore, this is also a mistake. Mistake committed at another layer. I am dull, I am blind, I am angry, I am disturbed. When you say I love, I hate, all these are again, all these are again the the all these are again the experiences, the emotions which emotions at the emotional level, all these experiences, all these feelings, they are transferred to anatma. Therefore, this is another layer where we commit the mistake by taking the attributes, taking the attributes of anatma in the form of the feeling, the emotions, to be the attributes of atma. When you say I am angry, who is angry? Atma is angry. Atma cannot be angry. Angry is of the mind. The mind is agitated, the mind is angry, and the mind is taken to be Atma. Therefore, this is this mistake. All these mistakes are because of ajnanam only. It is not every layer of experience. At every layer of experience, there are different source of mistake. No, their source is same. The source is ajnanam. It is the expression is different. The expression of ajnanam, the form of various mistakes, because of the various levels of experience. The various mistakes are not because of the various sources. The source is only one, that is ajnanam. Ajnanam is the only cause that expresses in the form of the fivefold mistakes at five levels of experience. Similarly, when you say, I enjoy, aham karta, I did that, I achieved that, I am bhokta, this is another mistake, another level of mistake, where the Atma, which cannot be karta, which cannot be bhokta, which cannot be karayita, that is taken to be karta, bhokta, karayita, that is a mistake. Yeyenam veti hantaram, yaschainam manyate hatam, ubhautau na vijanitaha, ayam hantina hanyate. Bhagavan Krishna says in the Gita, yaha yenam atmanam yenam hanti. The one who considers atma to be the killer, or who considers the atma to be killed, both really do not know. Why? Because atma is nainam chintanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha. Atma cannot be killed. Fire cannot burn, weapons cannot cut, water cannot touch, water cannot wet the Atma, and wind cannot dry the Atma. Na marutaha shoshayati. Then, when Atma cannot be touched by any of the thing, how can Atma be killed? How can Atma undergo change to be a Karta, the doer, or Karayita, or Bhokta? Not possible. Therefore, this is a mistake. Similarly, Aham Ajnani, Aham Sukhi, Aham Dukhi. This is Anubhava. This is the Sukha Dukkha Anubhava. How can Atma be a Sukhi? How can Atma be a Dukhi? The Dukkha, Sukha, these Anubhava, all these are with regard to only this Anatma Upadhi only. But Atma is considered to be Sukhi, Atma is Dukhi, Atma is only the illuminator of this Anubhava, the experiences. Because it illumines, can you consider the Atma to be a Sukhi, Dukhi? That's another mistake. So, the same, the three Sharira, when it is looked upon as five layers, now the corresponding layers, the corresponding layer of experience, it provides us with five-fold mistakes. So, the five-fold mistakes at these five levels of experience, they are going to be discussed, and therefore anatma is going to be understood distinctly as different from atma is going to be understood as distinctly from anatma iti. So this is the discussion now here. Therefore, panchakosha atitaha atma. Atma is Panchakosha Atitaha. It is distinct from this Panchakosha. Panchakosha is Anatma. And this Atma is covered by Panchakosha. Kosha means cover. Kosha is cover. Atma is covered by this 5 kosha. Covering means what? Can Atma be really covered by Anatma? Is Atma is like a person covering himself with a blanket? No. This covering is not a real covering. The covering also is not a real covering. It is like the pot is covered by the clay. It is like the pot is covered by the clay, not a person covering with a blanket. That's the difference. When they say a person covering himself with a blanket, the person is different, blanket is different. When you say the pot is covered by the clay, the pot and the clay, they are not different. Because you don't see the pot, you don't see the clay, therefore you think the pot is to be different from clay. This is a wrong understanding. This is a notional wrong understanding. Therefore, the notion, the understanding, the wrong understanding has to be removed. For you, it is covered. The pot is the clay is now not seen and the pot is seen. The clay knowledge is there, only pot knowledge is there. Therefore, it's a cover. Similarly, here, the kosha is not a real covering. Kosha is not a real covering. It is not like the onion. You have to peel each kosha to find Atma inside. No, there is no inside or outside for Atma. Atma is sarvagataha. It is all pervading, sarvavyapi. How can it be covered by a kosha? If it is to be covered by a kosha, we need a huge blanket, which is actually limitless. That doesn't exist. Therefore, Atma cannot be really covered. The covering is because of ajnana. So, Panchakosha Atita, the kosha, the word kosha is koshavat achadakatvat koshaha. Kosha means cover. Kosha, the meaning of the word kosha is cover. That is like encasement. Because they cover the Atma as though, you have to supply as though, otherwise it becomes a problem. Covering of Atma by Anatma Kosha is not possible. Because Anatma Kosha is Atma. Is Atma only. Like the pot is clay only. So, similarly, here, this they are called kosha. These 5 layers are called kosha because they cover the Atma as though they cover the Atma. And an example generally is given. What is that example? Like the case, the cover. The cover covers the sword or the knife. That is a general example given. Yata charmamaya koshaha. Charmamaya koshaha. That kadga, the sword is kept in this cupboard, in the cover, in the case. The sword or the knife which is kept in the cover, the cupboard. So like that, as the knife is covered by the case, the cover, similarly the Atma is covered by this Panchakosha. But that example has got limitation where the sword and the cover are different, but here it is not different. If you take literally, then it's a problem. Why the word kosha comes? Because this, like the sword is covered by the kosha, the cover. That is where from this word kosha has come. Koshavat achadakatvat koshaha. Like a kosha covering, like the kosha covering a thing. Similarly, here Atma is covered by Anatma. But we have to supply as though covering. It's not a real covering. It's not a real covering. Because every layer of experience, is a kosha. It's a kosha to commit mistake. with regard to Atma. Therefore, Koshavat Achadakatva, like a Kosha, as though it covers Atma. Therefore, it's called Koshaha. Annamaya covers the Atma as though. Annamaya really cannot cover Atma. How can it cover Atma? Annamaya as though cover, as though limit the Atma. Therefore, Annamaya Koshaha. Like the Kosha, the sword is covered by the case. Similarly, this Atma is as though covered by this Annamaya Kosha, this physical body. Therefore, Annamaya Koshaha. The word Annamaya is Annamaya Koshaha is Annamayascha aso Koshaha. That which is Annamaya, that Annamaya means that the modification of Annam, the food, it has become a Kosha, enclosure, as though for Atma. And also it is called Kosha. Why? Because it is a locus. It is a locus for committing a mistake. A locus is required to know a thing, to commit a mistake also, you need a locus. So that is why it's called Kosha. If Kosha is not there, then locus is not there, therefore no mistake possible. And all the people in the world, they all uniformly commit the same mistake of taking this Annamaya, the body, to be Atma. That is why it is Annamaya Kosha. The mistake is common. And the locus of mistake is Annamaya. The locus of mistake is Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, iti. So this prakriya, this method is called Panchakosha Prakriya. And Atma is presented as Panchakosha Atitaha. Because a mistake is committed at 5 layers of experience, therefore, we have to remove all these possible mistakes. Therefore, for the sake of removal, the negation, we use these words. We use this prakriya, and therefore the words Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Iti, all these words we use. So here the negation is deliberately done because Atma is not any of them. They are Atma, Atma is not any of them. So that is the topic of discussion. And each kosha is going to be discussed, starting from Annamaya. That we will see. We will see that in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.
धन्यवाद
धन्यवाद
गुरुजी.
धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद.
Happy
धन्यवाद
Ram
गुरुजी.
Navami to all.
Wish you the same. Thank you.